Now, when I say choose yourself, I don't mean you become selfish. I don't mean you ignore responsibility. I mean you stop living like a default and start living by design. I mean you stop waiting for someone to hand you the mic, and you grab it because you were born to speak, born to build, born to lead. Selection is the first step to self. Mastery choosing. Yourself means you're done waiting for permission. Let me tell you something most people will never hear in their entire lives. You don't need to be chosen to be worthy. See, we've been conditioned since childhood to wait our turn, wait to be called on, wait to be approved, wait to be validated. And so we grow up living on standby, hoping someone, some boss, some relationship, some opportunity, will finally tap us on the shoulder and say, now you're good enough. But let me challenge that. Because the moment you decide to choose yourself, something fundamental shifts inside of you. You see, what separates the successful from the stagnant isn't talent. It's not luck. It's self-selection. The decision to say, I'm going to move even if no one claps. That's not arrogance. That's agency. It's the conscious rejection of the idea that your value is tied to someone else's recognition. And once you understand this, you start living from within, not from reaction to everything around you. Choosing yourself is psychological maturity. It's the moment you stop outsourcing your worth. It's when you stop being a reflection of the world and you start becoming a projection of your purpose. From that day on, you no longer audition for rooms you were born to own, because you realize the door isn't locked. It just needs you to stop asking for the key. People will say, who gave you the right? And your answer will be simple, I did. The power of your life is not in the hands of those who see you. It's in the hands of the one who decides to be seen. So don't wait to be discovered. Discover yourself, and the world won't have a choice but to follow. When you choose yourself, you exit the approval matrix, no longer bound by the opinions of others. You unlock true freedom. Here's what most people don't understand. The need for approval is a trap, a psychological trap, and the crazy part is you don't even know you're in it. From the time you were little, you were trained to chase that gold star, that pat on the back, that good job, and that conditioning runs deep. So now, as an adult, every decision you make, what you wear, what you post, what dream you chase or don't chase gets filtered through one haunting question: what will they think? Let me break it down for you. When you live for approval, you build a life that isn't even yours. You become an actor in your own story. You wear masks to fit in. You play roles to be liked. And you shrink your dreams to avoid rocking the boat. That's not living, that's performing. And the moment you choose yourself, really choose yourself, you unplug from that matrix. You stop asking for permission to exist fully. You stop needing everybody to agree with you before you make a move. Because approval feels good, but it's addictive. It gives you a high, but robs you of your authenticity. When you finally exit that cycle, there's a silence at first, a loneliness even, but right behind that silence comes peace, clarity, power. Listen, there's always going to be someone who doesn't like the real you. That's fine. That's their job. Your job is to stop dimming your light just to fit in their box. You weren't built for boxes. You were built for brilliance. So stop living on borrowed opinions. You don't need validation to be valuable. Say what you mean, do what you believe, and live like you've already been approved because you have. Self-investment becomes non-negotiable. You no longer see spending on yourself as a cost, but as a requirement. Now let's talk about something that most folks misunderstand: self-investment. The moment you finally choose yourself, really choose yourself, you stop looking at personal growth like a luxury. You start treating it like survival. You realize that if you don't invest in yourself, you're automatically investing in your own limitations. See, most people will spend money faster on entertainment than they will on education. They'll drop hundreds on vacations to escape a life they don't love, but hesitate to spend a dime building a life they don't need to run from. Why? Because deep down they don't believe they're worth the investment. That's not a money problem. That's a mindset problem. Psychologically, when you refuse to invest in your growth, your skills, your health, your mindset, you're unconsciously telling yourself you're not worth it. And the brain listens. Your self-image shrinks to match that belief. But the opposite is also true. When you start pouring into yourself, reading, learning, training, evolving, you start walking different, talking different, dreaming different, because now you've shifted from scarcity to ownership. And don't get it twisted. I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking time, attention, energy. Where are you placing your focus? Because every investment compounds. Every rep in the gym, every hour spent learning, every mentor you pay to collapse your learning curve, that's not just progress. That's identity reinforcement. That's you showing your soul, hey, we're serious about this. At the end of the day, here's what it comes down to. People who don't invest in themselves are always waiting for someone else to do it. But when you believe in your future, you fund it. So the question is simple. If you won't bet on you, why should anybody else? You attract higher standards and set better boundaries because your value is no longer up for debate. Here's something nobody teaches you in school, but life will if you're paying attention. The way you treat yourself sets the standard for how the world treats you. Let that sink in. People don't just randomly decide how to handle you. They pick up on your cues. And if you're out here constantly shrinking yourself, over-explaining, tolerating disrespect, saying yes when you mean no, what you're really doing is teaching people that your boundaries are flexible, your value is negotiable, and your time is disposable. But the moment you choose yourself, really choose yourself, you stop playing small to keep the peace. You stop showing up in places that don't recognize your worth. And here's the key. You stop asking people to treat you better than you treat yourself. It's psychological. When your internal standards rise, your external experiences follow. You start attracting different conversations, different rooms, different relationships, because your energy no longer matches the insecure version of you that used to settle just to be included. You begin to walk in alignment with who you know you are, not who you've been pretending to be to keep people comfortable. And boundaries, they're no longer barriers, they're declarations. They don't push people away, they filter the wrong ones out. You don't have to argue, you don't have to explain. You just be and let your self-respect do the talking. So let me leave you with this. When you raise your standards, you don't lose people. You lose the version of you that needed them. And that's not a loss, that's a level up. You shift from victim to creator, the narrative changes. Life doesn't happen to you, it happens through you. Let me tell you something that'll shift your entire outlook if you let it. You are not a victim of life. You are the author of it. But you can't write a powerful story if you keep handing the pen to your past, your pain, or other people's opinions. And that's what happens when you don't choose yourself. You live reactively, not intentionally. You live waiting on the world to fix what you haven't claimed responsibility for. Now, I'm not saying bad things don't happen. They do. Life hits hard sometimes. But here's the truth. Just because something wasn't your fault doesn't mean it's not your responsibility to heal, to grow, to move. That's the mental shift from victim to creator. One lives in blame, the other lives in ownership. And see, when you step into ownership, you stop waiting for ideal conditions. You stop looking for rescue. You stop repeating the same stories that keep you stuck. You start asking different questions. Not why did this happen to me, but what can I build with what I've been given? That question alone unlocks a new level of power. And look, this isn't about pretending you're okay. It's about reclaiming your agency. It's about realizing that even if you didn't choose the pain, you get to choose the meaning. You get to choose the next chapter. Every powerful person you admire, at some point they made a choice. A moment where they said, "This may not be my fault, but it is my fight." And they got to work quietly, consistently, relentlessly. So if you're waiting for a sign to stop reliving your story and start rewriting it, this is it. Pick up the pen. The power's been yours the whole time. Your energy multiplies because alignment replaces resistance when you're not fighting to be someone else. Your natural gifts explode. Here's something most people never realize until they're burnt out, fed up, or broken down. You're not tired because you're doing too much. You're tired because you're doing the wrong things for wrong reasons. That kind of exhaustion isn't physical. It's spiritual. It's the weight of misalignment, living a life that doesn't reflect who you truly are. Trying to maintain a version of yourself that was built to please, impress, or survive. But when you finally choose yourself, something powerful happens. The resistance fades. And when resistance fades, energy multiplies. Because you're no longer burning fuel pretending to be someone else. You're no longer fighting your own instincts just to be accepted. You're no longer dragging yourself through obligations that make you feel smaller instead of stronger. Now you're in alignment. That's where the real flow kicks in. And flow isn't just a nice feeling. It's a performance enhancer. It's how your mind, body, and spirit all say, "Yes, this is what we were created for." You stop running in circles and you start walking in purpose. You stop chasing motivation and you start creating momentum. And here's the crazy part. People around you will think you've changed. But you didn't change. You just stopped resisting the real you. You see, when alignment replaces resistance, everything gets lighter. Your decisions get clearer. Your voice gets stronger. Your path becomes visible, not because it showed up, but because you finally did. So let me leave you with this thought. Your power is not in pushing harder. It's in showing up in full alignment. Stop fighting who you are. Start flowing in who you were designed to be.